Hello, my name is Andrew Thake. I'm a divisional director with Resourcing Tomorrow. Delighted to be joined with us today by Ben Chalmers, who's a senior vice president at the Mining Association of Canada. Delighted to have you with us today, Ben.
Thanks, Andrew. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Ben, you were at Resourcing Tomorrow a couple of weeks ago, and you participated at a number of the events that took place during the course of that week. On the first day, the Monday, we had our government roundtable at the London Stock Exchange. You attended that. What were your key takeaways?
Well, first, Andrew, let me say that it was a pleasure to be at Resourcing Tomorrow this week, or that week. I think it was a wonderful event, and I really enjoyed the roundtable format, both the government roundtable and the expert roundtables, the leadership roundtables. With respect to the government roundtable, I thought it was a wonderful day of bringing together industry stakeholders and governments, and had a few important conversations. I participated in one discussion on standards and how they're shaping the future of the industry in terms of responsible practice and how they're providing baseline expectations for governments to rely on in addition to regulation. I also it was remarkable, I think, to see the level of collaboration that is emerging between the industry and governments in terms of how we get the necessary metals and minerals out of the ground to facilitate the energy transition and increase needs for these metals and minerals for all sorts of uses. I mean, typically in the past, as I commented during the roundtable, our industry has been, fierce proponents of free market systems and free trade, and has typically wanted government just out of our way. And what I was seeing this year was significant conversations about how can government be more supportive of our industry? How can we work together to increase the production of critical minerals? And that was remarkable. We've seen it in Canada. We're seeing significant action by governments at all levels in our country to harmonize regulatory processes, to speed up project review without compromising on the integrity of those reviews, but also to make significant infrastructure investments to open up new regions for mineral development, to implement tax incentives, to talk about things like stockpiling and price floors, which are new for the industry. We haven't seen those in a very, very long time. So it's just, I think, remarkable that the industry and governments are coming together in this time of increased need for critical minerals to try to find ways of advancing this more quickly.
Mhm. And then, of course, you then carried on those discussions into Resourcing Tomorrow itself. And obviously, the Mining Association of Canada has many areas that it's obviously involved in and shows leadership in. But one of those areas is, of course, ESG. Can you talk a little bit about the Mining Association of Canada's commitments and policies towards ESG?
Yeah, thanks for that question. We have been strongly committed to advancing leadership in ESG for a very long time. And it began as far back as the early 90s with something called the Whitehorse Mining Initiative, which was a unique coming together of industry, governments, and civil society. Then in 2004, we launched our Towards Sustainable Mining Standard, which was the first of its kind in the industry, whereby we were requiring individual mines to report their ESG performance, subject them to independent assurance and multi-stakeholder oversight. And that commitment has gone on over the last 20 plus years to a standard that is now shared with 13 other industry associations around the world, and is forming some of the basis for what we're doing with our partners at the World Gold Council, ICMM, and the Copper Mark around the Consolidated Mining Standard, which is using TSM as a big part of the base for the architecture for that new standard. So MAC has remained committed. We share our standard freely with other associations in the hope that we can bring a level of continuous improvement that we've seen in Canada over the last 20 years through TSM to share with others.
And of course, one thing that we have seen in the last 12 months is maybe on a political level in certain countries and certain jurisdictions, we've seen a bit of a sort of a pushback against ESG. Um, have you sort of seen that in your conversations at the Mining Association of Canada, or are you seeing like a different conversations?
Look, I think what's happening is how we present ourselves is changing. I mean, in Canada, we're dealing with new legislation that puts limitations on how companies talk about their ESG performance to avoid greenwashing. And then there's other pressures, of course, on how the industry is presenting itself on climate change and other matters. What isn't changing is the actions. We are still committed to decarbonizing our industry. We are committed to uh, land stewardship and making sure that our impact is as minimal as possible. We continue to be committed to recruiting workforces that are diverse, and that actually is an essential aspect of the future of our industry. And one of the things that we continue to see in Canada is a projected shortage of 100,000 workers over the next 10 years. And so unless we can find new ways of attracting talent, including women and visible minorities and others, we are not going to have the workforce. So it's a business imperative for us, as are many of the aspects of ESG, like climate change, becoming more energy efficient, incorporating adaptation measures to protect our infrastructure. So yeah, we see this very much as business as usual.
Yeah. And can you talk a little bit about what some of those measures are to go and encourage more people into the industry? Is it measures particularly working with Indigenous nations? Is it particular initiatives you've undertaken at the university level, or is it sort of something else?
Yeah, it's multifaceted. I would say on engaging Indigenous people in Canada, we have been quite successful. We are the largest private sector employer of Indigenous people in the country. I think the long history of agreements between Indigenous communities and mining companies in Canada has really helped that, because employment targets have formed a core part of those kinds of agreements. And I think we've learned a lot in that experience about how to make our operations more welcoming to Indigenous people over the years, that we are extending to other demographics as well. One of the changes that we've seen recently is the addition of a protocol in TSM called the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Protocol that is really aiming to make the workplaces more comfortable, more respectful for a variety of workers. Um, we've also um, we've also started a campaign. We have an organization in Canada called the Mining Industry Human Resources Council that manages our labor market needs, does labor market research, does recruitment, handles our trades credentialing. And we're working with them as well as other partners, including the World Gold Council and ICMM and CIM, on a campaign called Mining Needs You, and it's aimed at recruiting young people into professions and trades that mining needs. Our engineering schools are not full in Canada in terms of mining engineering. Our geology schools have ample capacity to take more students, and we're not getting the recruitment in these areas. So we have partnered to try to reach 1 million students a year to help them understand the career opportunities that exist in our industry. So we have a multifaceted approach to try to fill these vacancies in our industry.
You mentioned earlier about why the Mining Association of Canada supports CMSI, and obviously some really positive news at the event was that you won the Best ESG Initiative at our Resourcing Tomorrow Awards and Gala Dinner. How do you hope CMSI will change standards for the better, and what's next for CMSI?
Well, first, it was an honor to get up on the stage and collect the award. It was an honor to be recognized for the progress to date. We still have a lot more to do. The standard isn't complete yet. We just finished our second public consultation and received substantial input that we're going to take on board and look at revising the standard one more time and aiming to have a final standard sometime in the middle of next year. I mean, it's our hope that this standard will be able to reach a lot of the industry that isn't already participating in good, effective standards like our own TSM. I mentioned earlier that the base of the CMSI is formed on the foundation of TSM. aspects of TSM, like multiple levels of performance to encourage continuous improvement, have been incorporated from TSM into CMSI. And I think one of the unique things about CMSI is that it's been an opportunity to take proven and tested aspects of multiple standards, including the Copper Mark and World Gold Council's responsible gold mining principles and ICMM's performance expectations, uh, to try to build something that is better than the sum of its parts, that is a comprehensive standard of in terms of the number of issues it covers, that it is designed to be applied in all geographies across all commodities, and really is intended to be something that can be scaled up across the industry quickly. We talk about adoption at scale, to bring a level of continuous improvement and measurement, as I said earlier, to parts of the industry that haven't necessarily used standards in the past. And we're hopeful that it will bring increased and continuous improvement on a wide variety of environmental and social and governance metrics.
Yeah, we at Resources as well, we also ran a leadership roundtable on standards that I think obviously a number of CMSI members participated at. And I think it was a very interesting discussion there, where I think that one of the issues that came out is we've got these great standards, but how sort of scalable they are. So I think it would be obviously be interesting to see as to how CMSI is sort of like 1 year from now.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to go through a launch. Hopefully, yeah, like I said, we're planning on finishing it sometime around the middle of next year with a launch later in the year. It will go through a multi-year implementation phase in. So those of our members and our partners' members that are doing existing standards will have time to phase it in. Um, but we will certainly be looking to identify any early lessons learned around how we can further improve it and make it more accessible. Um, so yeah, it should be an exciting time. We will be working closely with the Copper Mark, who is going to be the new home for this standard. They are already ramping up their capacity to administer and deliver it. One of the things that I think we're focused on is TSM has always had a strong training and support component to it. We have comprehensive training programs that are web-based, that are in person, that are recorded and live. There's several different options around how companies, communities, stakeholders, and others can learn about the standard, learn how to use it. And that's something that we're looking to bring to CMSI as well, which we hope will help with the scale up, that it won't be a situation where companies are left on their own to figure out how to use it and what it all means. That there will be a support package to go along with that to help ease implementation.
Well, at Resourcing Tomorrow, it's been a pleasure working with the Mining Association of Canada sort of this year. Thank you very much for all of your support that you've given at the event, and also for today for sharing your thoughts around ESG, some of your takeaways and learnings from Resourcing Tomorrow, and of course the fantastic work that you're doing at CMSI. So we look forward to seeing you in 2026. But thank you very much for your time today. That was Ben Chalmers, Senior Vice President at the Mining Association of Canada. Thank you very much, Ben.
Thank you, Andrew.